When it comes to LLC business loans, Truist is a fantastic institution, fantastic bank. So in today's conversation, I want to talk to you about Truist LLC business loans. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. And so here is the overview that you need to have in mind. Let me first give you a glance into the whole operation. So when you think about Truist, we got to think about the fact that it's actually the result of the 2019 merger between SunTrust and BB&T, those two banks. Now, those two banks were already stellar banks, but when they actually combine, the result is just even better, especially for ALCs. So Truist has a constellation of ALC business loans. They are really great in terms of the diversity, in terms of the loan generosity, but in terms also of how they actually help you reach your goals by using the funding from them. Okay, that's what we love with Truist. See, Truist is not one of those lenders where they just give you the cash and you're just like okay, go and just get your stuff done. No, they will help you. They will provide guidance. They will assign an advisor, a business loan advisor for you, who will be there to answer any questions you have about the process. And the cool thing we love about Truist is the diversity. So when we talk about Truist LLC business loans, you have a constellation, a diversity of loans, right? Everything from term loans, so ALC business term loans, ALC business lines of credit, ALC business vehicle and equipment financing, and ALC business real estate loans. This is really good, okay? And right now, as of the date of this show, Truist is not really working with the SBA lending program. They actually were part of it before they actually came out of it. I'm pretty sure at some point in the future they will go back to it. So, but it's really important to say that when you have a Truist, you need to be in the geography, the cover. Truist is not a national player. They're not a national bank like Chase, Citi, or Wells Fargo, or Bank of America. So Truist is just in a limited number of states right now as a bit of this show. So it's important to make sure that your LLC is located in the states that Truist is covering. Very important. And also Truist also has some kind of limitation in terms of the revenue. So they want you to have anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million in business revenue. Revenue, not profit. Revenue in annual revenue minimum. Okay, but again, it's important to understand that if you actually have a good relationship with Truist, a long-standing relationship, they can actually help you out even if you have no revenue or you are a startup. So Truist is great for like LLC business owners who are borrowing relatively small amounts, because the maximum loan amounts cap out at $250,000 at Truist. So you will not be able to borrow millions. Again, Truist is not a national player. It's very important. If you want traditional lending products, Truist is a great place for you because they have a wide constellation, a wide catalog of lending products. And if you don't look for SBA funding, you will love it too. Let me now talk to you about the pros and cons of Truist when it comes to LLC business loans. And this is the topic of today's conversation. Just want to remind you, we are having a convo about LLC business loans from Truist Bank, okay? And the thing is that, so here are the pros and cons I want you to think about the next time you're thinking about Truist as your bank, as your preferred bank for LLC business loans. So Truist works with small business owners with no set minimum time in business or annual revenue requirements. This is actually great. You have a wide suite of traditional lending products, and you have more than 100% financing available for business auto loans and commercial vehicle and equipment loans. Fantastic, fantastic. What about the cons? So when we talk about Truist, and I just mentioned that they're not they're not a national player, so their balance sheet is kind of limited. So what happens here is that they have relatively small loan amounts across most categories. Okay, so, and one thing we don't like about Truist is that they're not really transparent about their rates and minimum credit score requirements for LLC business loans. Okay, no SBA loan availables. And no SBA loans available, and there can be balloon payments on secure term loans and commercial real estate loans, okay, for your LLC. So this is something you need to be aware of. One thing I want to say here is that depending on the state where you're currently in, it's really important to first go to your nearest Truist branch and have a convo there. You want to sit down with the branch manager or deputy manager. You want to speak to someone in a decision-making capacity who can explain to you what really happens here, so you have a clear idea what you're getting yourself into before getting an LLC business loan from Truist. Okay, it's always about collecting intel. It's always about gathering intel before actually committing. Very important. Don't, even if you're a long-term Truist client, I mean, there's no such a thing as a long-term Truist client. But if you were a client before the merger, if you were a BB&T client, or you were a SunTrust client before they actually did the merger, don't assume that you know everything. Do not apply online. You want to go to a branch because they've changed their processes after the merger. So let me quickly give you a loan recap here. Okay, so when we talk about LLC business loan from Truist, let me give you a recap you need to be aware of so that you are really clear, because it's all about transparency. The more you know about the process, the better it is for you. Okay, so let me give you the Truist LLC business financing program at a glance. So when we talk about the unsecured LLC business term loan, you have loan amounts that go from $3,500 to $100,000. The repayment term up to 60 months. Okay, the APR is not disclosed. In terms of fees, you have origination fee of 0.50% or $100, whichever is greater. For secured LLC business term loans, you have $3,500 to $250,000. Repayment term up to 60 months with 180-month amortization. The APR is not disclosed. The origination fee, 0.50% or $100, whichever is greater. And you have an unsecured LLC business line of credit. Here we are looking at $3,500 to $100,000. In terms of the repayment terms, 12 months to 36 months. The APR again here is not disclosed. You have an origination fee of 0.5% or $100, whichever is greater. Same thing, okay? And you have a secure line of credit for your LLC, $3,500 to $250,000, up to 60 months. And in terms of origination fees, same thing. Now, for the secure line of credit, there are additional closing costs. You have auto small business loan for LLCs. You have here $3,500 to $250,000. And in terms of the repayment window, you are looking at a maximum of 75 months, and there is an origination fee of $100. And for commercial vehicle and equipment loans for your LLC, you are looking at $3,500 to $250,000 here, and the repayment term here 84 months, and there is an origination fee of 50%, 0.50%, or $100, whichever is greater. And you might have additional closing costs. Very important to remember. And the last thing out here is we have real estate loans for LLCs. So here we're looking at $3,500 to $250,000, and there is in terms of repayment term up to 180 months. So you have 180-month amortization on residential loans and 300-month amortization on commercial loans. Okay, and same thing for the fees. You are looking at origination fee of 0.50% or $100, whichever is greater, in addition to other costs, other closing costs. So what's the point here? What is the bottom line? The bottom line here, you can see that Truist is really limited in terms of their balance sheet and how much they actually grant. Okay, the maximum you can get across all products combined, is $250,000. So if you want more, you'll never get there at Truist. Let me talk to you about the loan details here, because it's important. I've given you a wide catalog of loans, but it's important to really dig a little deeper so you have a clear idea about what we're talking about. So, by the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. What is it? I'm talking to you about LLC business loans from Truist. Okay, I'm just explaining to you everything you need to understand, so you know exactly what to do the next time you apply for an LLC business loan at Truist. So what are we talking about? The term loans. Term loans, you have those unsecured term loans will max out at $100,000. You can borrow up to $250,000 if your loan is secured. Okay, and that's important. Now, the one thing you want to do here is that, if you go with a secure loan, there is a potential 15-year amortization period, which means you would have three choices at the end of your initial up to 60-month term. So you can pay off your remaining balance in full. You can renew your loan with Truist at a no interest rate. You can refinance the remaining balance with another lender after the initial term is over. Okay, so this is known as a balloon loan, and there are some risks involved. So Truist may choose not to extend a new loan, which means you would only have the option of refinancing elsewhere or owing the remaining balance in full after the initial term expires. Okay, and when we talk about lines of credit for your LLC at Truist, the bank offers both secured and unsecured lines of credit, and both of these lines start at $3,500, and origination fees are the greater of either 0.50% of the amount you borrow or $100. Okay, and what will happen here is that every month you will make either interest-only monthly payments or pay 1.5% of the total balance due. Very important. And unsecured lines of credit max out at $100,000, while you can get a secured line up to $250,000. And if you go the secured route, there may be additional closing costs, including title insurance premiums, attorney fees, evaluation fees, flood certification, and recording fees. Those are things you need to be aware of. And then Truist offers small business auto loans for LLCs, commercial vehicle and equipment financing for LLCs, real estate loans also. Fantastic. I want to talk to you now about eligibility. See, the whole thing is that we're having a conversation about LLC business loans from Truist. So what's up with the eligibility? Well, you need to understand. First of all, you got to have a relationship with Truist. You need to open a checking account, a savings account. You need to have this at the business level and or the personal level. Basically, if you want to get a business loan, an LLC business loan from Truist, you got to have a business checking accounts. Okay, but it really helps. The more accounts that you have with them, the better. That's what we call having an MPR, a multi-product relationship. I'm not talking about having loans with Truist. I'm talking about accounts in which the money is yours, like asset accounts, not liability accounts. Okay, very important. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, in terms of revenue, Truist wants to make sure that you actually make at least $10,000 in revenue a month. That's the minimum, really bare minimum. $10,000, okay, bare minimum. And in some locations, in some states, they want you to have $500,000 annual revenue. That's gross revenue before taxes, before expenses and everything, okay? And they also actually look at your geography. So you want to make sure that you actually operate in a state where Truist is. And so if they don't have a minimum time in business, okay, so even if you're a startup, you can qualify. But if you haven't been in business less than 2 years, there might be extra paperwork requirements. So this is important. I just want you to keep that in mind. And one thing I want to say here is that Truist is also really good in terms of helping you get all the paperwork. Like, you just got to collaborate with them. That's why we tell our clients, our business clients, but also our viewers, it's just better to go to a Truist, the nearest Truist branch, so you can talk to someone there. You can ask all questions and before even applying, okay? And this will help you a lot. And so in terms of eligibility, make sure that you don't do anything anything in the financial, like you don't deal with money, crypto, all that kind of stuff. Make sure your LLC is not involved with crypto. It's not involved with adults or gaming or gambling, all those industries. You don't want that. Let me now talk to you about the actual paperwork that you gotta really have. If you are trying to get an LLC business loan approved from Truist, okay? Now, Truist will ask you a constellation of documents, and it depends on the specific loan that you are looking for, because the requirements are not the same. Like, if you are looking for an LLC business loan versus an LLC business equipment financing arrangement, the requirements are not the same thing, and the requirements are also different if you have, let's say, a secured loan versus an unsecured loan. So those are things you need to think about. As I said before, when you have a secure loan, there are additional costs, okay, things like title insurance and whatnot, attorney costs and whatnot. So those are really important. So in terms of paperwork, Truist wants to see from you basic information about your business and its operations. Very important. Your name, address, phone number, and social security number. Your own name, okay. They want to see 2 years of employment history if you are a single member LLC. They want to have information regarding your personal income, debts, and taxes. Okay, and if you are getting a secured lending products, information about your collateral, your business collateral, and name and contact information for any co-borrowers or guarantors. Name and contact information for anyone who owns 20% or more in the LLC business. Okay, so it's really important. And as I said before, if you have been in business for less than 2 years, the paperwork requirements might be even higher. Okay, but overall, this is totally possible. You can actually get a loan. Not a problem. One thing I want to say here is that it's always important when actually trying to get a loan at an LLC business loan at Truist to always have two additional paperwork. Two additional sets of paperwork. Where you need to have a business plan. A business plan will help you in terms of explaining to Truist the whole context within which you are trying to develop, you're trying to scale, you're trying to expand your business. It's really important. So that's for the business plan. And then you also need to have a set of financial statements, okay? And those could be either actual data or this could be projected data. So when we talk about projected data, this could be because you're new, or your business has gone through a hard time and you're just trying to paint a right picture for your business and trying to get a loan. So those are really important, okay? So make sure. So when we talk about financial statements, we're speaking about all the four financial statements. So your balance sheet, your income statements, your statement of owner's equity, and your statement of retained earned. And the statement of owner's equity and your cash flow statements. So those are really important. The last thing I want to talk to you about here is that there are alternatives. So Truist is a wonderful bank. Truist is a wonderful bank that gives you LLC business loans. They are great, but sometimes you could try everything, and it just doesn't work. Like you tried everything. You went to the branch, you talked to someone, you've done everything you could, but somehow they don't approve you. So what do you do? Well, there are alternatives to LLC business loans from Truist, right? So, for example, you have PNC. So PNC is another regional player. They're not a national or biggie as the top four: Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citi, or Chase, right? But PNC is also great. So if you want a commercial real estate loan over $250,000, for example, for your LLC, or an SBA loan at all, you have to go with PNC over Truist because Truist doesn't offer them as part of their small business lending line. You can also get much larger secure term loans and lines of credit with PNC. So you have think about 3 million. 3 million versus Truist is the $250,000. Truist is giving you $250,000, and PNC is giving you 3 million. So Truist can be really stingy when it comes to their loan amounts. So all other products have similar limits, though it's hard to compare the lenders outside these parameters, as neither share their rates. Okay, but overall, if you are going for a larger amount, always go with PNC or another lender because Truist is not going to help you a lot. Now, I want to quickly also compare Truist to a U.S. bank. So the thing about U.S. bank is that if you are looking for a larger unsecured term loan, Truist max loan amounts are $50,000 higher than U.S. banks. So maximum loan amounts are identical for all other lines of credit and other term loans, but Truist lends more for equipment financing, $250,000 versus U.S. banks $100,000. Okay, U.S. bank will lend significantly more for commercial real estate, so it lends up to $10 million. Okay, which is really great, while Truist caps out at $250,000. So U.S. bank also offers SBA products, while Truist does not. So. But yeah, so and also one thing I wanted to say here is that U.S. Bank is far more transparent about its rates, but unfortunately, it's hard to compare the lenders on this metric as Truist doesn't share its own. So your best bet really is to apply for all the three lenders to see who actually gives you the best offer. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about LLC business loans from Truist. And I give you a glance about the whole operation, give you the pros and cons, give you the loan recap, the loan details, the eligibility, the paperwork you need to have, and the alternatives. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.